Okay, so we're going to revisit a very old project, something I started years and years ago and never got round to finishing. And as such, I don't have any video of putting this first bit together, so I'll just run you through it quickly. We've got this gearbox which I found in a skip. Obviously wasn't any good for what it was designed for, but it runs perfectly okay at slow speed. 60:1 ratio. And 6-inch chuck, which I was given. Someone was clearing out their shed. Did I want it? Yes, please. And I turned up a back plate for it. Unfortunately, the bit of steel I had was too small. It's a little bit undersized, and I only just managed to get the bolts in. But hey ho, it's all I had at the time. Then I've bored out this bit of bar here, grub screw into the keyway. I couldn't be asked to put keyways in. Bit of brass in there. There's like a runner, and there's a heavy spring in the bottom of there, which pushes that up onto that brass up onto that shaft, and that's going to be what the return lead's going to go onto. On the other side, got the input. Now I've already pushed this on. I just pushed that on years ago, and it should come off, but it's probably rusted on now. Anyway, that'll have to get put on there properly. That's just pushed on for the time being. All mounted on a bit of 3/8 plate, and that's as far as I really got. As you can see, it turns quite slowly. So we're going to have a go at trying to get this finished. I did a year or so ago buy some more bits for it to try and get it finished, but it never happened. So I'm really hoping that I can get it done now. It's one of those tools, it's going to be useful once in a while, you know. So what else have we got to go with it to control it all? Windscreen wiper motor, 24 volt off a truck. Now the reason I went for 24 volt is because it was so much cheaper than 12 volt. Don't know why, but 12 volt ones are really expensive. This was only about a fiver, and it's virtually brand new. Okay, so I used an online calculator, which I'll put the link to in the description down below. But I can't remember what criteria I put in because it's such a long time ago. But this is what I got. These two pulleys. Now, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll soon find out. This one's quite thick. It doesn't actually say how many teeth are on it, but oh yes it does, 32. I think that's what that means anyway, but I'll check it and let you know. Got some chain as well, so I thought I might as well just get the lot, chain, sprockets and everything. Got quite a bit of that because I don't quite know where I'm going to mount everything. Didn't want to run out. So how are we going to power it? I went online, good old eBay, and I found this 24 volt transformer. It's from some sort of a phone system. It was dirt cheap. I think there's going to be enough power to it. You can see how long it's been there. It's been kicking about in the dust. Yeah, I think there's going to be enough power in there to run it. And also on eBay, a cheap speed controller. I think this was about the most expensive part. I think this was about 14 quid or something ridiculous. It's got a three-way switch there, off one way and the other way, and then an off and speed rheostat type thing there. So let's plug it all in and just give you a quick demo. I'll plug in the transformer. Now I think when I was using this online calculator I must have set the motor running and counted how many revs a minute it did and then worked that out against the revs of the gearbox. Right, we've got power, but I'm not sure. But I think that's what I did. Thought I could hear a fan running, but it's not. I don't know what that is, that noise. Anyway, let's turn her on and see what happens. So you can see. Switch it on, and there we go, clockwise. Should have put a bit of tape on it. You can see it's going faster there as you turn it up. Yeah, I think you can see that. And then you can virtually slow it down to nothing. And then turn it off, switch the switch to the other way, and it's going the other way. Again, you can start from nothing and creep it up to whatever its maximum is. I might try and just work that out and let you know. Anyway, your lot's obviously going to be different, so you can use the calculator like I did. See, if you turn this motor from one side to the other, it's got quite a kick to it. You go from forward to reverse, so I think there's going to be enough power there, so that should do the trick with any luck. The only problem you can get with these is the plastic gears inside. They can get shot, but as this is brand new, I don't think we're going to have a problem. I think it's going to last long enough for what I want to do with it, hopefully. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so something else I picked up, which I will probably use, is this film case. It was used for transporting celluloid film in its little drums, and it's got this annoying catch that I can't actually seem to figure out how to open. Don't quite know why they needed it so fiddly. Come on, it can't be rocket science. Must be able to get that. There you go. Yeah, I was thinking of using this as like the enclosure for putting all the electrics in. You can see the marks from the canisters in there. And then putting all the gubbins inside, electronics, and then mounting... Oh, blimey. Mounting the rest of it on top, so that I can switch it horizontal or vertical. So anyway, that's the theory. Time will tell whether it'll actually work. Can't get this blooming catch to work again. Blasted thing, I don't know why it's so fiddly. I'll get it in a minute. Oh well, head it. Forget it. Never mind. Right, so first job for today, I think, is going to be bushing out the big pulley. As you can see, the little one already fits, but this big one, the hole is about 5/8, 16mm, something like that, and the shaft on here is only 10mm. So I'm going to have to bush it down somehow. And as this pulley is pretty thick, you can see how thick it is, and it looks like there's a nice weld around there, so it looks like this piece here is actually added on. So that's the bit I'm going to try and machine down, but obviously my lathe is way too small to do it, so I'm going to try and put this bit of bar in there after machining it down, obviously. Probably put a little countersink in the back here, so that when I push this in, I can run a little bit of weld around the countersink to hold it all in. That's the theory anyway. So just move the camera down a bit. So push it in, put a little bit of weld around there, then we'll cut it off, stick it up in the lathe, and hopefully turn this face down, and then also same time bore the hole for the motor. That's the theory. Let's see how we get on. So let's cut a piece of this off and stick it in the lathe, see what happens. Might work, might not. Right, so let's just see if we can just machine this down a little bit, because this is black bar, it's not exactly round. So I'm just going to try and get it to fit. Dead handy little lathe this. It's nowhere near like what I used to have. I used to have a massive Lang ex-war finish type thing. Nothing fancy on it. It had a plaque on it saying war finish. basically meant there was no fancy bits and no decent paintwork or stickers or anything. It was just bish bash bosh, made the machine so it could do the job. But it was a cracker. I could bend or twist inch bar cold on it. But hey ho, that had to go when I moved shops. Oh, look at that. Way too small. Sloppy. Should have used a vernier. I like to do things by eye, but hey ho. Never mind, let's pull a bit more out. Do it again. Beauty of this old black bar, there's loads of it kicking about. If it was gold, I'd probably take a bit more time and care. Again, as I say, I'm just eyeballing it. I know how much I took off last time. Just taking off a bit less this time. See if that'll do. That's better. That's just starting to tighten up on there, so yeah, that'll do. Lovely. Sorted. Oh, actually, it's tighten on there, so let's get that off first. Right, let's go and cut that off to the desired length. I've just put a new blade in this machine, so this is the first bit of steel to be cut with it. Brand spanker's new blade. I don't want masses, just want enough to hold in the lathe. Look at that, knife through butter. They're a joy to use, these machines. Really are. So, let's see if we can get it put in the sprocket. So first of all though, before I do that, I'm just going to put a little countersink in there. Just for... Ooh, that's a bit hard. I think that's... Yeah, a little bit hard that. There you go. Just so if I need to, I don't know as I will, but in case I need to just run a little bit of TIG or something around there. Just to make sure it all stays in place. So let's get the good old fly press out and see if we can push this in. Wonderful tools these. So many uses. There we go. Look at that. Couple of good old bumps and that'll go in. That's not going anywhere, I don't think. One for luck. Yeah, lovely. Tight as that is. That ain't going nowhere. Right, so let's just whip that end off, the bit that I buggered up. Don't need that bit now. What did we ever do before cutting discs? Hacksaws, I guess. Just tidy it up. And again, another great invention, the flat disc. Hardly use an ordinary grinding disc at all these days, except for extreme meat removal. Right, there you go. So that's what we're left with. We'll get it up in the lathe. So this is a bit of a hobby lathe really. Some bloke in the yard was selling it when just as I moved in. It was too good an opportunity to let go, and it's been an absolute godsend for little jobs. Right, see the problem. That pulley is going to catch on that tool post, so I just had to turn it round, and then the handle's in the way, so turn that round. Let's see if we can actually get something done today. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few cuts off the face right the way across, and then as you can see there, I'm just going to leave about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches in the middle there, just so I've got plenty of meat left. Got down to what I want, just bore out the centre for the shaft, and I think we're there. Yeah, 10mm. So let's see if it'll fit. You can see there what I mean about leaving that piece, because it clears those 3 mounting holes, but it still leaves enough meat in the middle just to go right the way over the shaft. You get a whole shaft's contact. That's a lovely fit. Nice hard push fit there. Now you can see what I mean by I've got a good fit and enough room to get my mounting plate in, right in there, because obviously I'm going to have it on a reasonably substantial bit of plate so it doesn't move anywhere. So I'm just going to whip that excess off now, which we don't need. I'll get that off again. It's a nice fit. You can see in the end there, it's a 4mm actually hole, which what I'm going to try and do is use that to hold the shaft in place, or hold the sprocket in place on the shaft, but we'll see. I'm not sure about that yet. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it. Let's tidy it up again. That'll do me. Flush. I'll just find a drill kicking about here. Just use that to deburr the centre. Airline under the camera. Of course, it's all tangled up in the tripod. Right, so that's that bit done. If you can see, if it'll focus, I may well just run a little bit of weld in that chamfer, but I'm not sure yet because it went in really nice and tight, so I might not have to. So what I was going to do was put a big washer over that nut. Let's put it on and show you, or over the bolt. So yeah, I was going to put a big washer on there. That's nice and flush now, and then weld the bolt to the washer, and then drill in through the washer and tap to the sprocket. So hopefully that'll hold everything in place with any luck. We'll see. So there we go. Next job. What do we got to do next? So it's another day, and I had to think overnight, and I think I'm going to have to change my idea of how I was going to fix that, because if you weld the washer to the bolt and then screw in, that's fine if you're going in one direction, but as soon as you go the opposite direction, be alright one way, but as soon as you go the other, it's going to unscrew itself and just screw itself off the shaft. So I think I'm going to have to drill it at an angle and put a grub screw in, but I haven't decided yet. But I think that's going to be my easiest option, because there's no way I can mess about trying to put a keyway in and all that malarkey. I haven't got the skills or the facilities to do that. Anyway, I think this is going to be the next job. Get this put on, and as you can see, I did work it out. It is 32 teeth on there. That's what the last digit on the sprocket means amongst all the digits, and this one, it's for the hard of hearing, is 10. And say how I worked that out, I don't know. It's got to be something to do with the revs of the motor and the gearbox to get the final what's it. So anyway, I'm going to put 2 grub screws in here because it's so long. I want to get a good fixing on the shaft. And I've got these tiny little 5mm by 8mm long grub screws. I've got boxes of these things, so I'm going to use a couple of them. Just put a couple of centre dots. Don't want them too close together, but I don't really want them too close to the edge, but I think that'll probably be alright. Just see them there. I use 5mm a lot on the window job, so I've already got my 4.2 drill and my 5mm tap close at hand. So let's crack on. Just going to tighten that up in that little hand vise. I keep meaning to turn the speed up on this drill. I turned it down, right down, when I was doing some tapping the other day, and it's a bit slow on its high speed. Must do it. Only a case of changing a couple of pulley or belt on a pulley. Oh, bugger. Well, this was a fairly worn drill. I've been using it for a long while on the window job, so I should have put a bit of lube on it, I suppose. Anyway, give me 2 seconds. I'll just go and sharpen that one up, that shard of a drill. Doesn't take long. If you watch my drill sharpening video, you'll see. There we go. Whizzed it up. Literally on the bench grinder. Just a little bit shorter now. Hopefully there'll be no bits of drill left in that hole. Obviously not. Alright. Let's take that out because I want to keep that in a special bag. Alright, let's get tapping. This cordless drill is brilliant for this, says he. Don't think I've done it up tight enough. Again, I think this tap's getting a bit tired. It's done a lot of windows. I bought them in bulk actually, so I ought to stop being so tight and crack out a new one. It's when they start snapping and really binding like that that you really ought to get out a new one. Oh, there you go, went in no problem, that one. Done. That's going to hold it on, hopefully. Let's see if we can... I'm not sure which way round to put it, inwards or outwards. I think I'm going to have it outwards so that the chain is well away from anything that it could potentially damage if it suddenly came off. At least if it's a little bit further away, less likely to do so much damage. Nearly on. There you go, nice and flush. Let's just nip them up. Done. Give them a tweak. And surprisingly, 8mm long makes them nice and flush with the head of the shaft, or the shaft. You can see there, they're nice and flush. Not going to catch on anything. And that should hold that on nice and sturdily. Right, so that's going to run quite nicely. What I'm going to do is drill some holes in here because I want to mount the motor sort of directly beneath it, right under here. So I'm going to have a couple of holes, and I'm not sure whether to elongate it into a slot. I don't know yet. I think what we'll do is drill the holes and then, if necessary, make it into a slot. And also, while I'm at it, I've got to take off about an inch perhaps off here. Well, I don't have to, but I think I ought to, because I think if I'm having this vertically and I'm using it vertically and I've got something on the top there, something big, it's going to catch. Well, that could possibly get in the way when it's stood, yeah, you get the point, upright. So I'm just going to whip that off. There's no need for it to be there, so, you know, hey ho, we'll whip it off. So next job, I've decided I'm not going to use the washer idea. I'm going in at an angle with a grub screw. Now, I started off, I forgot to turn the camera on. I started off going straight in with the drill and then gradually moved it up to a fairly steep angle. In fact, I think it may be a little bit too steep. I think I should have gone back a touch more, because I'm almost going to break through the front edge of it. But hey ho, it's too late now. I've done it. There you go, cracked through. It has come quite close to that. Yeah, I'm just looking, see how far back it's gone. It's gone back far enough, but I would have liked it just a gnats more. I just want to try the motor on it, see where I'm going to sort of... there is a keyway in the shaft on the motor for a woodruff key. So there's a little half moon hole in there. I'm just trying to line it up with that hole, or line the woodruff key hole up with the hole I've just drilled. And then what I want to try and do is spot it with the drill into the woodruff keyhole. That's the theory, without busting the drill or anything else. It seems to be working. Because the shafts on motors aren't all that hard. I always assumed that they were hard, but I've drilled loads of shafts to put bolts in the end like I've got on this one, and they're not actually that hard. You can see there I've just done it. Yeah, cool. So that's success so far. Just see if I can tap it now. Alright, well again, I forgot to put the camera on while I tapped it, but I tapped it. I forget my blooming head if it wasn't screwed on. It's the trouble when you're making these videos, trying to remember everything. You're setting up the shots, what's next, you know, how you're going to do this, that and the other, and then you do it and forget to put the blasted camera on. Never mind. You can see I've done it. Now that is in the shaft. Nice and tight. I still might put a washer on with that bolt, just like belt and braces, you know, peace of mind. Although it's not going exactly at breakneck speed, it's only going to be going at a few revs a minute. So I shall hang on to that bolt that I found that fits. I'm just knocking down where that's broken out a little bit. I did put it a little bit too close to the edge, but that'll do nicely. So I still might put the washer on there with the bolt just to cover everything up, but that's got that nice and tight, quite flush, although that is a little bit burst out there slightly. Would have liked to have been a little bit further in, but never mind, it works. It's turning the motor, so it's actually got it. So we'll see what happens. I just hope I've got the pulleys on the right way around, otherwise we're in big trouble. So next job, I'm just going to take this breather out. It's got 2 breather holes in it, and every time I turn the whole thing upside down or at an angle, it's pouring oil out. I don't want to drain the whole thing out. I don't know if you can see that, if it'll focus. Yeah, there you go, you can see there's a breather in both sides. So what I'm going to do for the time being is just bung it up with an ordinary quarter gas bung. I hope I remember to take it out before I use it. Anyway, it's just to stop, and say, the oil pouring out all over the place, which I don't need. Right, sorted. So I'm going to turn it over and put these holes in. So I've marked the holes, and we're just going to put a pilot through and then put this little hole saw in, just big enough. Let's get the chain through and we'll see what happens. I'll tell you what, I've been impressed with this little cordless drill I bought. Bought this, oh, must be a year or so ago, with a couple of batteries, and it's a cracking tool. It's got power. The batteries last for ages. It's got all sorts of different, you know, the usual things on it. There's different torque settings for screw driving, and it's even got a hammer on it. But like doing this, drilling these holes in here, it's not fading at all. So I'm really impressed with it. I remember I bought a cordless drill many years ago when they first came out, and apart from the fact they were massive, Well, the batteries were massive. They didn't hold a charge, so if you didn't use it for a couple of weeks, you went to use it and it's dead as a dodo. These things, they just hold the charge. Battery technology has come on so far. Anyway, we've punched a couple of holes in some 10mm. Get rid of all the swarf. Right. Is that going to work? Are they going to be good enough? Let me just have a little experiment. And the answer is no. I think I'm going to need to extend them at least to the chalk mark, if not probably a bit more, because the size of the big pulley, it needs to be about 18 inches away from the holes for it not to bind. So that was a complete waste of time. So I'm going to elongate those with the plasma cutter. I'm just going to get the plasma out and open the whole blooming lot up. And I'll whip that other bit off at the same time. In the meantime, I'm going to try and make the mount, or start to make the mount, for the motor. I'm just putting the same size hole in that I put in the 3/8 plate, which is a 20mm hole. See how much quicker it goes through with in the drill press. Now, I'm not very good at working out hole centres and stuff like that, so I've basically worked out where the diameter of those holes. I'm just going to put one in, then I'm going to attach it to the motor and mark round the other holes. That's my way of doing things. It might be a cheat, and someone will probably say there's a very simple way of doing it, but I don't know it. I'm just countersinking that because I'm going to use countersink bolts. Right, so I've done it. I've put it on. I didn't bore you with the pissing about. I'm going to have the motor pointing downwards, so that's sort of the angle I'm going to use it at. But I might change it. Who knows? As I say, the whole job is evolving by the minute. I do one little bit and it changes something else. So I'm having second thoughts about that steel enclosure, the film case. I don't know. I might try and make it smaller and use some bigger steel. That's going to go on there like that somehow. Obviously I'm not going to have it quite that long. I don't need it now that far off, so I'm going to whip that off. But I still need some adjustment up and down to tension it. Doesn't need to be a lot because I don't think the chain will stretch that much, but I think I need to put a little bit of tension on it, or have a little bit of adjustment on it, put it that way. So that'll go on there, something like that, obviously a bit shorter, and there'll probably be a brace of some sort on the back. But unfortunately, that's it for part one, because I've run out of time. Catch me on the next one.